Hi, welcome to this chapter of the On-Prem Master Class Series. My name is Candice and I'm a founder in Los Angeles. I focus predominantly on process, strategy, and change management projects, and I'm here today to talk to you specifically about how crucial it is to manage change during any sort of digital media supply chain implementation. In the 23 years that I've been doing media and entertainment consulting, I have found that the easiest part of our job is actually implementing the solution. The hardest aspect of what we have to do is dealing with people, and that is why change management is so critical. What we have found time and time again is that involving stakeholders and users from the very beginning of the project is critical because people need to be aware of what is going on and understand the change that is about to happen. In a ProSci study in 2013, it was found that 96% of all projects where the change management program was seen as excellent, that it actually exceeded or met expectations of that project. Whereas those that were seen to have poor change management programs, only 16% of them were seen as meeting or exceeding expectations. So what is change management? In definition, it's a structured set of tools and an approach to be able to facilitate change in a project. Personally, for me, though, it really is just taking the time to get to know people and get to know the impact that this particular change, this system, whatever it is going to have on them, and taking the time to make sure there's communication and collaboration throughout the process so people just feel comfortable. And yes, there is a defined methodology to change management. There's a set of tools that we end up using even before the project starts, and I'll talk to you about two of them specifically today. One of the first tools that we like to use is a change readiness survey. And all this really is just a set of questions that you send out to your user community and asking how ready they are for this change. So it's questions like, are you aware of this change? Does this change have particular value to you? Have there been implementations in the past that have failed? Questions like that enable the team to understand just the ability for the team to be able to make that change right now, and also just how much communication we should be taking in order to maximize the buy-in. The other tool that we end up using is called a stakeholder analysis. And all this really does is allow you to get every single person that gets affected and figure out their impact and their influence. Meaning that if I am an executive vice president who has a lot of influence and I can stop this project, and I also have a lot of impact, meaning that I can persuade a good number of people that this is the right thing, that I should be someone that you end up communicating more to, someone that you sit down potentially to have one-on-one coaching sessions and underlining the value of this program so that that person can then support the program and communicate positively about it. The criticality of executive support is fundamental, and it was highlighted in an ERP report in 2008 that basically found that as the number one reason why implementations would fail if you don't have executive support. Once a project actually begins, it is really important to continue communications to your team. One tool that we use to be able to do this is called a communication plan, which basically just lays out the type of communication, the cadence of communication, the way you will do it in order to set a strategic approach to be able to communicate to the team. So certain ways of doing this would be town halls, newsletters, meetings, one-on-one conversations, whatever is required to make sure, again, that the implementation is successful. Second, you must develop a rollout plan and also figure out how to support your users. I cannot emphasize enough how important training is to be able to make sure that your user community is ready for the change. There are studies that show over and over again that those companies that have projects where there is a defined training plan find a return on investment that is up to 50% more effective or in less time. So I cannot underline enough just how important user training is. The ability to be able to put the right metadata in, the naming of your folder structure, that all has to do with how well your users are trained and how well the system will be used. There are a number of ways to actually train users. There's the traditional in-person and now more and more virtual training sessions that can occur. You can create videos for your team members, and you can also have a train the trainer approach where you actually train someone within your organization to train others within your group, so that there is more buy-in and ownership of the solution within your company. So once the system goes live and everyone has been trained, you have to make sure that you have a good playbook on support. So what that means is you have a document that basically goes through how I go about supporting a user if they have questions or if they run into issues to make sure that that is facilitated in an efficient way. The other two components that you should think about once a system is actually deployed is one, a governance committee, where you have members of the executive team overseeing any sort of system changes and any key decisions that have to be made around the roadmap of that solution. The second to also consider is a questionnaire back to the group about how well the system implementation actually went, so that you can get feedback for future deployments. Lastly, I would like to talk about the pitfalls of change management during an implementation. First of which is that you should never under-communicate. Don't assume that everyone knows what's going on. I call it the power of CC. When someone's copied on an email, they feel good about the fact that they were included. Communicate, 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 if not even over-communicate. It will help you in the overall implementation of your system. Second, don't plan for the short term. You have to have a strategy around change management. There is kind of a misnomer that change management is just training. That's not it. You have to figure out, as we spoke about during this segment, that you have to think about your stakeholders from the very beginning of the program. And then third, don't forget your audience, and don't think that everyone is the same person. That is the power of change management. You have to really empathize and look at each person as an individual. The system's going to mean something different for person A than to person B. So you have to make sure that you're communicating different values and addressing different values to different people. Hopefully, this information has been really helpful in order for you to understand how important it is to look at the people side of a system implementation. Thank you so much for your time in watching this chapter of the On-Prem Master Class Series, and we look forward to you joining other sessions in the future. Goodbye for now.